social. Alberta Radio.
In a land of wide open skies and untamed horizons, one signal cuts through the wind. You're tuned into Alberta Radio, across the prairies to the Rockies. Here's your host, Jason LaFace.
Yeah, elbows down, ass up, say it loud, never back up. Elbows down, ass up. Catch these clowns acting tough, talking big with your mask up. Keyboard freaks never match us. Elbows down, ass up. All your problems you blame Trump. Locks the sunline with your bullshit, chasing kids with queens, fucking pedo shit. You quote books you never read past page 2. Copy paste takes, call it a peer review. Marching in the streets for your fake coup. Your cosplay terrorists and the rainbow crew. You cry for equal rights, but it's just for you. Burning our national flag, yeah, fuck you too. Your protests are funded by globalists, only to sympathize with terrorists. Now hating the people with their giddy up crew. Always foreign issues, they don't care about you. Elbows down, ass up. Dressed as clowns, acting tough. Walking big with your mask up. Keyboard freaks never match us. Elbows down, ass up. All your problems you blame Trump. Docs that's online with your bullshit, chasing kids with queens, fucking pedo shit. You want planes where the math don't add up, promising free drugs while the bodies pile up. Trucks to state with they offer maids, while sending the billions off to Ukraine. You so love that greed while everyone tense up, freezing in the cold, waiting to amputate up. You say love wins, yeah, you spit your twist. If anyone doubts you, we're all fascists. The brainwashed minds by the liberal lies. What will it take to awaken your mind? Elbows down, ass up. Dressed as clowns, acting tough. Talking big with your mask up. Keyboard freaks never match us. Elbows down, ass up. All your problems you blame Trump. Docs this all nine with your bullshit, chasing kids with queens, fucking pedo shit. Hands out, loud mouth, big plans, a small crowd. You want the crown, skip the clown. What now? When the lights go down, you just log out. Elbows down, ass up. Dressed as clowns, acting tough. Talking big with your mask up. Keyboard freaks never match us. Elbows down, ass up. All your problems you blame Trump. Docs this online with your bullshit, chasing kids with queen fucking pedo shit.
Oh yeah, man, thank you for tuning into the show. That is John Wikkened and myself with Elbows Down, Asses Up, and that's Johnny's remix of that version of it. You can check it out on YouTube, and we're offering free downloads right now on SoundCloud, so we've been posting it on socials. Anyways, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jay LaFace. This is Alberta Radio, and we got a show for you today. So, well, you know, coming right from the heart of Alberta with the stories that actually matters, because that's what we do here. So today we got the big question about Ottawa's money moves, the free speech fallout hitting university wallets, fresh accountability down south of the border, and another frustrating data breach story for Canadian gun owners. So let's get right into this. So Carney's Canada Strong Fund. Now, a wealth fund with no wealth is what it is, really. So Prime Minister Mark Carney has unveiled Canada's new sovereign wealth fund, called the Canada Strong Fund. Sounds impressive? Nah. Except there's one big problem with this whole thing. Nobody has any excess wealth to put in, so they're just like, the country's broke. So when the country goes broke, they lean more on the citizens and give everything to us so we can, in any state. Anyways, according to John Ivigan of the National Post, sovereign wealth funds are normally built from budget surpluses. So think Norway or or Alberta's own heritage fund in its better days. So Canada is running a massive deficit. The projected $65 billion, right, or more. We're looking at potential $1 trillion overrun. I can guarantee that. So this is a people's fund that's, basically starting in the red. So that's exactly what Carney's trying to pitch here. So he's pitching this as a national savings and investment account that will take equity stakes in big projects like pipelines, LNG terminals, critical minerals, all that liberal jargon they like. It's not jargon, but all the liberal BS they like to spew to try and compel their voters to support. And his idea is to fast track the projects through some type of new arm lengths crown corporation. The problem with this is, again, Canada's broke. Like, you tell me, with the cost of food, the cost of gas, if you have a family, even, then insurance, then it's insane. Like, nobody can get ahead, and that's because of what the government's done to Canada. I mean, they locked the country down during COVID and flooded the entire country with new people. That's exactly what they did in this country. Now, tell me, prior to COVID, did we see a massive influx of new people coming into the country? Not really. But when you take a look at when they locked us down, they flooded this country. They flooded it. I mean, you go shopping in Walmart or any other place and you tell me. So when you look at all that and how it's impacted our economy, the government, I guess, came up with some formula stating that, well, the more people we bring in, folks, the better it is for our GDP. But look what's happening. Now, when you look at the expenditures of the federal government, it's all gone to Ukraine, right? They funded another entire country, a war against Russia that Canadians didn't ask for. They were brainwashed into believing to invest in this war, and it was propagated by government and mainstream media onto the populace. So that's where you know what I mean? It's propaganda. So here we are today, with the billions gone to Ukraine, the billions gone to other countries for social DEI programs, right? Carney's now, we're broke, and we're worse than broke, because we're in such a deficit in this country that the grandkids of your kids are going to be paying for it. And Carney knows this. The liberals know this. They're running the country to the ground with a Soviet-style collapse. And now they're going, oh, we want your money so we can... No. How about we just vote them out and get them put in jail? How about that? Or how about even better? How about we just get all the provinces to leave the Confederacy because they're unable to constitutionally govern the country anymore? That's a fact. So, Carney and the Liberals are going to still pitch this as this bogus national savings and investment. And don't believe for a second they're going to fast track any project, because the only project that they're going to fast track, they want the money from the people to fast track that hyper train, the super train that they want to build in Ontario, between Ontario and Quebec. Hyperrail, whatever it is. That's what this is all about. Now, here's the rub. If the goal is to grow Canadians' money, right? Make more money for Canadians, or whatever. Why not just invest? Why didn't the government just invest broadly in global markets that actually deliver strong returns? But they don't. Now, if the goal was to pick winners and push political projects, then don't dress it up as safe. Don't dress it up as high return savings vehicle for regular people, because it's not true. Now, the Alberta Heritage Fund has shown us some political interference can be good, can turn a good idea into a disappointment. So you just look at that. Now, how we build the Alberta Heritage Fund is completely different than this. But we're just using it as a simple example that maybe it'll work out for Alberta, but it's not going to work on a national level. Just not, especially under the Liberals. Now, this feels like more deficit-financed government, because they're picking winners, and the taxpayers deserve straight answers, and they need to know the risks, they need to know the returns, and really, who's going to control that checkbook? Who's going to control the investment? So the way I look at it, it's a racket. It's when you look at the Liberal Party of Canada and the NDP and especially the Liberals, they're shutting down committees. They turned off the cameras during committee today. They're taking control of the committees unconstitutionally. And they can say that they did. Oh, no, they're not following the rule of law, but they'll scream, we follow the law. No, you manipulated the law via the King's Privy Council to get what you want. They're acting like China, right? China and North Korea do shit like this. So it's just, I don't know. But anyways, we're going to come back and talk a little bit about what's going on in Lethbridge and what happened to Professor Frances Widdowson, or Dr. Widdowson. Sorry, she's also a doctor. She is a doctorate. But we have an update on that, on where we stand. It's quite interesting what's going on campus across the country. That blows my mind quite a bit. Anyways, we are promoting my upcoming album release that I've done with John Wikkened and some other folks. So we're dropping singles on our SoundCloud so that you guys can download, because I know some of you guys like dance music and stuff. So we're just, it just helps me with my content. The money that I make from it goes to my content, and we're offering free downloads. So we get paid on plays from Facebook, believe it or not. But anyways, some really good music. I've been working with John for a little bit, and some other artists in the Netherlands, and we've just been banging out tracks left, right, and center. It helps with a new system and a new DAW system that we use to write with. And we're staying away from that AI stuff, but it's just interesting how in the last 3 years, like, the software changed. Like I've been using. I use different types of software engineering programs or sound engineering programs to make music, and what we're using right now is it's unbelievable. So, and we're beta testing it. That's the thing. Nobody knows, like, it's not open to the public yet, which is cool. So we've been really focusing on taking advantage of the software to make our music sound amazing with the synthesizers and the vocal glitching and all that fun stuff. But anyways, so if you guys go on my SoundCloud, I will post it on our socials. I might add it to the link in the description of our YouTube, so you guys can go there and download free music. But yeah, we got 12 tracks coming out. So we're going to play the album titled track, which is called Above It All. That's the name of the album. So I'm going to play that. This is my original mix that I put together, and I hope you guys enjoy. Here we go on Alberta Radio.
Broken
is Above It All, original mix on my album release for May 4th. It's coming out, and you'll be able to download it for free on SoundCloud, which will be linked in the description of our YouTube and our social posts. So this way there you guys know where to get it. Anyways, next up. Oh yeah, next up. Alright, so Dr. Frances Widdowson, great professor. She's been getting a lot of controversy because of the fact that she's speaking up and asking questions about the 219 supposed bodies that are buried at Kamloops. Now, the problem many of us have is the fact that the same GPR that went out there and did that did the scan on the ground went to all these other reservations across the country, and there's 3 other reservations that went and dug up the so-called areas where they were detected where there was anomalies, and they found nothing, 0 bodies, right? And they did this for good reason, because they wanted to bring the bodies back home. And if there was bodies, they want to repatriate them back home. So here we have Kamloops. Now they're asking for more money, right? More millions of dollars for what, right? And with that said, it's just now they want to create these I guess if you speak up against the narrative, they want to arrest you. You know what I mean? Just like what they did with World War II. But yet there's a lie here. So people have been just saying, look at, if there are so many bodies, if in fact there's 219 bodies there, wouldn't it be right to find out the names of who they are, the families? I'm sure there's ancestral families through generations that are, still alive. Give their families closure and repatriate them back to the territories they were apparently stolen from, right? That's also a narrative that is, I don't believe all of it, because of my family, stories from other families, and then just evidence I've seen recently from the Reclamaire. So here, Frances, she went down to Lethbridge. Now Lethbridge has been making it a hard time. She got arrested, and it's just a crock of crap. So what happened today was a major donor yanked a 6-figure gift from the University of Lethbridge. An alumnus has withdrawn $150,000 earmarked for the athletic department after the school's handling of Dr. Frances Widdowson's arrest. This is according to an exclusive from the Western Standard, and it's a clear message that when universities appear to be punishing dissenting voices and prioritize ideology over debate, well, donors will start voting with their wallets. Now, academic freedom, it's not just a slogan, it means something. So, and it also comes with financial consequences because of the donors and people who support the universities. And Alberta universities should be paying close attention to this, because you can't just keep alienating the supporters and expect money to keep flowing into their pockets, right? It's got to give, right, at some point. So right now, I've been paying attention to this, and Francis, Dallas Brody, 1BC, and there's a lot of folks speaking up. But I really like the fact is the Reclamaire has done some great work recently by putting out quite a bit of information regarding residential schools. And here's something I wanted to share with you, because this is actually, I was like, what? When I read this yesterday, I couldn't believe what I was reading. Where is it here? Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, so now, you know how right now we have First Nations, and they're screaming about the residential schools and saying, oh, they took our kids, and they were just labeling all of them bad, right? But here's something that's really interesting, and there's evidence. So there's not only record accounts that were pulled from media archives, but there was also listed within government through requests, and it's all, I don't know where the Reclamaire got this information, but I got to give him credit, man. So here it says, in 1971, Maryvale Residential School in Saskatchewan was scheduled to close, But the problem is 8 Indigenous bands protested the closure, arguing to keep it open. Now, since then, when the Truth and Reconciliation narrative started to be pushed, well, guess what? 4 out of those 8 bands turned around and started condemning residential schools and pursued legal action and accepted compensation from the program and from the courts. But yet, they supported them. They supported the schools. Like, they supported the school to stay. Like, they wanted to keep it open. It doesn't make any sense. And then here you have, like, I'll read the full article. So this is the full original article from 1971. It was November 19th, 1971. And the title said, Chiefs Requests School Be Kept Open. It was written by Ruth Shaw, a staff reporter from the Leader Post in Regina, Saskatchewan. Now, this is what it says, Yorkton staff. A resolution asking that the Maryville Residential School be kept open as long as the Indian people want it was passed by the chiefs and councillors of 8 Indian bands at a regional meeting held Thursday. The meeting was held in the Royal Canadian Legion Hall with Joe Whitehawk of Yorkton District Supervisor as chairman. Various spokesmen said the pupils are generally children from broken homes, orphans, or from inadequate homes. There are a great need of the school, and there is a great need for the school, and the need is increasing rather than diminishing. Many of the children have no place to stay, as many only have grandparents who, through lack of space, health, or age, are unable to look after them. The alternative is foster homes, which will cost as much money as the residential school, plus a measure of correction, discipline, and religious training, and this should be taken into consideration when plans are under study for phasing out the school, the spokesman said. While residential schools are not the best, they meet the most needs of children, and children in foster homes are deprived of correction, discipline, and religious training. The older members were disciplined and given religious training, and we must get back to their old traditions, a spokesman said. So the spokesman, who is a community developer officer, said the Maryville Residential School must be expanded one step further and a junior high school established. Another spokesman said Indian people passed a resolution asking that the school remain open, and it would not be up to the department to say whether the school should be closed. Another said that if the request is made, it should remain open, and the people should not be bribed to close the place, because apparently they were trying to bribe to close the school down. Now, Chief Antoine Cote of the Cote Reserve said that the people on his reserve are not satisfied with the integration of Indian students at Kamsack. They claim there is no discrimination, but there is, and we realize there is. Oh yeah, so no, there was a claim that there was no discrimination by the schools, but there is, and they realize there is. One of the reasons for phasing out the student residential schools is so our children can be sent to so-called integrated schools, he said. So basically, the purpose of closing the residential school in Saskatchewan at the time was to move all the kids over to a integrated Catholic open school board system, I guess. So Korchinski, the regional superintendent of education with the Department of Indian Affairs, told the delegates in 1971 that it will cost approximately $3,840 a student to keep the school open compared to $2,192 in the other 8 residential schools. Maryville operates with 50 students and a staff of 21. An assessment is being made as of why each of the 50 students are in residential schools, and after the assessment, it would be reasonable to sit down with the chiefs and discuss the situation, he said. So they also said that the school was an area of employment for Indian people, and he said there was a situation of the building is on the reserve itself. So I guess Korchinski and them wanted to remove it because Indians were working. So this is where we see a little bit of systematic racism in a sense, because here you had an integrated residential school on res that was working for the people, and because they were employing and with their own people, I think Korchinski and them didn't like it, and that's why they were trying to close it down. That's what it looks like. That's what I'm reading here. Like, that's how I read it. You know, the school budget was $192,000 back then in 1971, right? So at the end of the day, what was going on is you had the Crown representatives trying to shut down the residential school. Then you had the chiefs arguing to keep it open and saying why they needed it opened. And as to explain to, who was it? Fred Clark, KJ Cavigan, Katie Upel, and Emil Korchinski, telling them that they needed to keep the school open. And yeah, it looks like they were just, it's interesting, eh? And then now today you look at it, you hear the story of, oh, these schools were so bad and they did all these horrible things. But it's interesting, if you go back in the CBC archives, okay, there's actually it's on YouTube, that's where I found it. But it's part of the CBC archives. There's a complete different documentary that was released in I think it was in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. And they were talking about how the residential school system within the Canadian collective worked, and it basically told a totally different narrative. And that narrative was told where, you know, First Nations people were saying, yeah, even my family used to say the same thing, right? But there was abuse. Like, don't get me wrong. But the way the government and the First Nations make it out to sound like is as if it was like a murder campaign. Oh, and all these graves are, but that's not true. So far, there's been 0 bodies discovered in any so-called ground penetration radar assessment that's been done. So it needs to. The way I look at it is, look at Pine Creek First Nations went out and did a Sundance ceremony and a special ceremony to, you know, respect the grounds that potentially these bodies might have been. And when they dug up, they found nothing. So just saying, that did not cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars either, right? Pine Creek did the right thing. Same thing with Westminster out there in BC. They did the same thing. They did the due diligence. But for some reason, Kamloops has to be this special place with probably no graves. I bet you it's just like all the other ones. They found animal bones, right? Which was this tradition of the kids. They would go and do that for a ceremonial thing, and they would bury, you know, because they respect the spirit animal. So that would make sense. But the thing is I don't believe there's bodies at Kamloops either, because of the lie and how they're. I mean, look at, they're trying to seal the files for 75 years. What's that tell you? Hi, we're just going to guilt shame you for another 100 years and take all your money and guilt shame you for another 75 years, and we're going to seal the files so that in 75 years from now, oh, we're sorry. We're sorry. It was, and they'll use some trick excuse to just downplay the whole issue that they created for 100 years more. This historical guilt shaming has to stop, because the people of today are not guilty of the shit that happened, that was caused by the Crown and the Church in the past, not by the people. The settlers didn't do any of this. It's just find it's hilarious that the First Nations people, not all of them, but the ones that are radicals there, and they scream, "Oh, you're a colonizer, you're a white. Your own tradition dictates that you're supposed to be equal and welcoming. You're supposed to show compassion and humility." And these folks are just ranting and raving. They're probably still drinking is what it is. And I'm 80, I'll say it, right? Because I grew up with that kind of attitude with some folks, and that's the attitude they have, and it's because there's something going on. They don't like it when you talk the truth, right? Anyways. Oh, God, it's just great stuff. So we're going to play, let's see what we got. We got some Alberta artists we're going to play today. Play Derek Collier and Joey Pringle. So Joey Pringle is from Calgary. He's a Métis individual like myself, and he's a great artist. And the same thing with my friend Derek Collier, which I'm soon to touch base with. And, you know, it's just been so busy doing all this other stuff. But 2 great artists here in Alberta. Derek's in Edmonton and Joey's in Calgary. So Derek released Just One More Pack on Spotify, and Joey released Ain't My First Rodeo, which was released on March 20th of this year. So here we go, back to back, and both were tune of the day. So we'll be updating our pages to show that, and here you go, man.
Hark. I once did know a fool, a most devoted fool, who fed a dragon every morning and called it a ritual. That fool was me. And brother, I know that fool is you. Yeah, 6. Yeah, 6 in the morning. Yeah, 6 in the morning. Before my feet hit the floor, before the coffee, before the kids, before I open the door. Hand reached out like a reflex, like a long lost friend. Lit up the first one, told myself it'd never end. Yeah, 20 years deep and I never missed a day. Packed in the half before noon on a good day. Lighter in the left pocket, pack in the right. Woke up a smoker, went to bed every night. Smell on my jacket, smell on my hands, smell on my car and my couch and my plants. Told myself it's fine, told myself it's cool. Told myself a lie every day like a fool. But the cigarette said, baby, you need me. I'm the only thing that makes the morning feel easy. I'm the pause in the chaos, I'm the edge taking off. I'm the first thing you reach for when the world gets too tough. And the addict in the back said, he's right, you know. You tried to quit in 09 and that was a whole show. Remember day 3, remember how you shook. Just light one up, homie, just one more look.
One more pack, just one more pack.
I quit on Monday, I quit when I'm back.
One more pack, just one more pack.
I swear to God this time, and I mean that, I did not mean that. Then one morning something shifted in the air. Walked past the mirror and I stopped and I stared. Not in my face but the color underneath. The way I was breathing, the way I couldn't breathe. Ran up a staircase, 12 steps, that's it. 12 steps and my lungs do a full-on fit. Stood there wheezing hand against the wall. 43 years old and I felt 100 and tall. My kid looked up at me and didn't say a word, but I saw it in his eyes and man it hurt. He didn't ask me why I smelled like smoke. He just took my hand and that's when something broke. What light through yonder window breaks? It is the truth and it finally wakes. The man who fed the dragon every single day watched his own son show him there was another way.
One more pack, just one more pack.
The cigarette is laughing and the addict's got your back. Yeah.
One more pack,
Yeah.
just one more pack.
But somewhere in the mirror there's a better man than that. Hey, day 1 was easy, day 2 was a lie. Day 3, I reorganized my pantry 4 times. Day 4, I ate everything that wasn't nailed down. Day 5, I sat in my car in the parking lot downtown. Just sat there, hand shaking, jaw tight. The cigarette whispered, this is stupid, just like the addict said. Look, you've already lasted 5 days. What's one gonna do? Just take the edge off the haze. You deserve it, you've been working so damn hard. Just one in the driveway, just one in the yard. I said, nah, that's it, that's the whole speech. Just nah, one syllable, 1 inch out of reach. Didn't have a monologue, didn't have a plan. Just nah, and I drove home and I was still that man. Week 2, I started tasting things again. Coffee tasted like coffee, not like coffee and sin. Week 3, I woke up and forgot to want one. Stood there, confused in the kitchen like, done? Month 2, I ran those 12 steps and I didn't stop. Made it to the top, didn't drop. Stood there, stupid, grinning like an idiot at the sky. 43 years old, feeling 25. The cigarettes don't knock, sometimes don't get it twisted. Shows up at a bar, shows up when I'm pissed. Shows up when the stress hits the ceiling and the walls close. But I know his game now and I know how it goes. He ain't my friend, he was never my friend. He was a lease I kept renewing on the place I should've left. All the world's a stage, and all the smokers merely players. And in one act thou art the dragon's fool, and in the next, the slayer. The dragon does not love thee, he only loves the feed. And every morning that thou lights the flame, thou waters not a flower, but a weed.
One more pack, just one more pack.
That's what it tells you every time you look back. But you already know, the best version of you is the one that lets go. You already know, best version of you is waiting down that road. Just say now. One syllable, that's all, just now.
I think I see how you think of me. You're anything but smooth. Safe to say you're no working Joe, but you're longer in the tooth. Mama told me careful what you settle down for. Nothing settled here, we're running back for more. Oh, 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 I ought to know. Ain't my first rodeo. Thought I told myself so. This ain't no me, oh, my first rodeo. My heart races when you stand near, a bit conflicted and confused. I fell hard and you disappeared. Was it one wild ride with you? I won't hit the town, no way, no how, like I'm looking for a new old flame. This ain't no rookie on the sideshow, scared of being left alone again. Oh, I know it ain't my first rodeo. I told myself so. Oh, 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 this ain't no me, oh, my first rodeo. Life's an up and down ride. We gotta hold tight and know when it's time to let go. Ain't always fun and games, sparks turn into flames, and we're going up in smoke. Oh, I ought to know, 'cause it ain't my first rodeo. I told myself so. Oh, 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 this ain't no me, oh, my first rodeo. Back in the saddle, what we found was more like a rebound than a soulmate dream. What felt like magic with a Hollywood flair was fireworks stealing the scene. Life's an up and down ride. We gotta hold tight and know when it's time to let go. This ain't no me, oh, my first rodeo. Life's an up and down ride. We gotta hold tight and know when it's time to let go. Ain't always fun and games, sparks burn into flames, and we're going up in slow. Oh, I know, 'cause this ain't my first rodeo. I told myself so. This ain't no me, oh, my first rodeo. Rodeo.
All right. So I was just reading their National Post mainstream media, but National Post just released article about. So I guess the Liberals are tabling their fiscal update. I'm looking at it now. The media is trying to spin this at I don't know how to read this, but we're looking at 37.5 billion more in extra spending. They're dropping, what was it? Wasn't that much, but they're dropping about 9 billion into trade to try and fill the gap and get people back to work, is what they're saying. Now, most of this what they're doing is they're feeding off the profit of the gas tax right now. Like, it generates a lot of money because even Alberta, we were in decline, and when the gas issue in Iran happened and the gas went up, everybody's profiting, right? I mean, look, there's 50 cents a liter, guys. Come on. Like, what was it? Just before all this started, we were paying, I was getting gas for $1.05, $1.10, $1.14, right? Now it's $1.60. Think about that for a minute. It's a big scam, these globalists. Anyways, I don't agree with anything that the Liberals do, so just, if you guys want to go look at the brainwashing and propaganda network called mainstream media, and you'll read into whatever they're saying. Right? Jeez. Anyways, down south, let's get into that, man. So we have major announcements going on in the U.S. So former senior of the national NIAID official, he's being indicted over COVID records. So David M. Morins, 78-year-olds too, man. Former senior advisor to the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, which is Fauci's old shop, his old buddy. He's been indicted. So the Department of Justice says he's facing charges including conspiracy, destruction, and alteration of federal records, concealment. So, man, big slew of charges there. And investigators allege he used his personal Gmail account to dodge Freedom of Information Act requests after the EcoHealth Alliance grant for, I guess it was for corona research on bats, was shut down. He's accused of working behind the scenes to try and restore that funding and push the natural origin narrative while hiding communications. So the gain of function, we all know now that COVID was a bioengineered virus made by Wuhan and Fauci and the Winnipeg lab in Canada. And these people tried to hide it, So there are even claims he accepted illegal gratuities like wine and all this other fancy meals, whining and dining and all this other stuff. So this is a big deal. And this is years after the pandemic, right? So we're still peeling back the layers of transparency failures, potential conflicts that affected public health policy. And that's including Canada, right? So public trust took a beating during COVID. And that's why these cases matter. These cases matter 100%. And then we have James Comey. So this one's the juicy one, right? The juicy one. So James Comey indicted. And guess what, folks? Second time indicted, but this time it involves an Instagram post where he posted a picture of seashells arranged to spell 8647. Many interpreted that as a coded threat against President Trump, the 47th president. Now, Comey says he has no idea about the slang meaning and quickly deleted the post. This comes after his first indictment related to leaking, and he was dismissed on that one. So this one here now he's being indicted for apparently, it was the threats over against Trump. Earlier I seen this thing where it said like he was being charged for attempted assassination, like he had planned it or something. I guess that got taken down, and that was from a mainstream source. I'm gonna start screen charging my stuff. Yeah, the narrative really twisted, changed 15 minutes ago. They all got it. Isn't that interesting? So listen to this, guys. When I pulled the story off this a while ago, it was about an hour ago, okay, and I had put it on my thing on my list here to script it and talk about it. And now when I'm looking, I go back on it and it updated while we were doing the podcast, and all the headlines have changed. So now it's changed to, from a while ago, it said something about he was being indicted because he had something to do with the assassination of Donald Trump, and there was even a mention that he was part of the planning. Now it's changed to, it's an alleged threat over an Instagram post. Oh, wow, man. Unbelievable, eh? The brainwashing and propaganda by mainstream media and government. Anything to twist your minds. Regardless of the fact, Comey's getting charged for, he'd probably get that thrown out. It was an Instagram post. You can't say he's responsible for that, right? But nevertheless, the attempt was made on the president, and that's not cool. And they locked down the correspondence meeting the other day and rushed him out of there because some lunatic teacher, left-wing radical teacher, decided to, I'll be honest with you guys, folks. I like some of Trump's policies, and there's some policies I don't like, and it's just like anything you look at other countries, it's the same thing. I'm a centrist at that. But when I was, when I seen the news release come out about Trump being rushed out and all this other stuff, and after it was all said and done, like I paid close attention. And I mean, I'm just going to say this, to me, my personal opinion, I'm 50-50 on that whole incident. And 50-50 meaning that I think it was staged and this guy is part of the staging, or it was an actual thing. And it's just, I don't know. There's just something suspicious that's going on right now. And it's, if you pay attention, folks, there's a lot of suspicious things going on right now in the last week, especially. Like, we've had this thing that happened to Trump. There's all these other things going on around the world. I mean, but software, like everybody's reporting issues with Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram. Everybody's having issues. So something must be coming or something, because I just find that interesting that all of a sudden, bang, 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 we're getting hit. And that last time that happened, well, COVID came. We're going to lock you down like animals. Get back into the barn. Because that's what governments do to their citizens. They treat them like animals. They mule them around. They herd them into herds, right? They cattle them up. They round them up and we're the cattle, is what I meant to say. So when you look at this and you say, well, when they locked us down, get into your barn, get into your pen, because we're the nanny state. I don't know. Anyways, we got some really cool events coming up. Tomorrow night, we have Operation Secure Independence. So this is in Edmonton, by the way. So that's tomorrow night, and that's going to be the Edmonton Oil Field Technical Society. That'll be located at 2104 156th Street, Southwest Edmonton, and we have some really great I can't even talk today. We have some really great speakers. Daryl Mack, David Parker, Jason LaFace, and Marty Upnorth. And that's the centurionproject.ca. You can get more information from there and book your tickets today if you haven't. So I'll be at that event tomorrow, and hopefully I will probably try and live stream it a little bit for some folks. And then we have the event at the Whistle Stop this weekend that's coming up. We'll be there. And Chris and some folks have really put together quite a bit. I'm just going to go. It's a Let's Talk Alberta event. I know that. Give me a second. Well, Chris, you guys got to update your stuff. Oh, there we go. Sorry. I'll take that back. Sorry, Chris. Anyways, what's really cool is Let's Talk Alberta. They're presenting a May 2nd, this Saturday, live event in at the Whistle Stop Cafe in Mirror, Alberta. They got speakers, musical artists. It's going to be a live auction, donated collectibles. It's just going to be just a good community event, and this is going to be my first event I'm going to that Chris hosts. Chris hosts a lot of events, so I'm looking forward to it. So we're going to go and cover it a bit with the wife. My wife's coming with me. She has her weekend off, and we're going to have a good time this weekend, right? So it's going to start at 11 a.m. And if you want more information on Let's Talk Alberta Tour, so you can go to letstalkalberta.com. Chris has been with a lot of speakers. I mean, let's see. Let's go through the events. So there's an event tonight, and that's going to be in Tilly Community Center. And that is at 148 3rd Avenue West. That opens up at 6:30. So they got Corey Morgan, Zane Novak, and Sheen Milkey. I got to get a hold of Sheen too. And then, again tonight, this is the one with Chris, Kathy Flett, and John Reel, and that will be in Gibbons, Alberta, at the Gibbons Community Hall, 15 51st Street, Gibbons, Alberta. And then tomorrow, they have an event at Forestburg Community Hall in Forestburg. That'll be Chris, again, with Ben Crane and Kathy Flett. And then Thursday, they're going to be in Lloydminster, so that'll be at the Bexon Construction Prairie Room. and that'll be Lloydminster Agricultural AS, I don't even know what that is, 5521 49 Avenue, Lloydminster, Alberta. That'll be at 6:30. So they got Leighton Gray, Tanner Hindy, and Chris Scott. And on the 7th, after the weekend event, Chris and Michael Wagner. So what's really cool is I spoke to Chris yesterday, and I got to get a hold of their event coordinator, so I'll be able to speak about technology and cybersecurity, AI, that kind of stuff. I'll be able to answer a lot of people's questions. So I'm preparing myself to do a cool speech to do some events, and look forward to doing that. At the same time, writing policies. So tonight at 7 p.m., you guys can join my live stream with Benita Peterson on Facebook, and I will be going through the UCP resolution, like the resolution submission form. So if you're a UCP member, you should have got a link to submit a resolution to the portal. And what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through it and show you what you can do. Right now, for me, when I present it tonight, I'm going to touch base on the AI that they're using, because I've noticed a mistake with it yesterday, and when I seen the mistake, I was like, no, I'm pushing it through. So I pushed it through, and believe it or not, I got a response from my CA board today on the policy board, and I'm like, wow, man, awesome, like really awesome, So it's really good stuff, and a lot of things are happening for me. So my intent is to figure out where I want to go, but I really want to be the mayor of Edmonton, because a lot of people I've been talking to, and now when I see people, they're like, you're Edmonton's mayor, like you're Edmonton's mayor, Jay. So I got told that yesterday by a group of old ladies. Great women who've been working hard for petitioning, going to get signatures for the petition and organizing the volunteers, and they did so much great work. So I just want to say thank you to Pauline and all of them. And I think we had one more topic to discuss before we end the show, and that was the RCMP PAL verification system. There's a massive breach that happened again. I'm going to get into that, so we're going to play one more song, and then we'll get back into the last segment of the show. Let's see, what shall we play? Yeah, we'll play this one. So this song's called Control Freak, and it's my buddy John singing. Here you go.
I see your fingers on the screen. Micromanage every scene. Color code the way you breathe. Need a map just to let it be. You're a control freak, counting every heartbeat. Gotta keep it all clean, gotta keep it all neat. You're a control freak, tell me what you don't see. When you try to hold me, you're losing all the control of me. Yeah, all the control of me. You rearrange the salt and shame. Label love like it's a game. Schedule every move I make. Still afraid of one mistake. Hey, you're a control freak, counting every heartbeat. Gotta keep it all clean, gotta keep it all neat. You're a control freak, tell me what you don't see. You decide your rules, my life, hands tied. Still I slide out of reach, out of line.
Oh yeah, that's Control Freak here on Alberta Radio. That is John Wikkened and myself. Man, it's been really good working with that guy, man. He's out in the Netherlands, and we send each other emails consistently, and well, we have a group chat, But anyways, it's great that we're able to produce music. So the last topic of the day is regarding cybersecurity breaches across Canada, and I'm just going to wrap this all into one. So let's start with. There's going to be no compensation for the 2.2 million gun owners after a data breach, and it's unbelievable. So the RCMP has confirmed they're not paying out nothing. They know that 2.2 million registered gun owners whose personal data was exposed in the 2021 data breach, but it was also breached recently. Like, it's continuously getting hacked all the time. I mean, I know people who work in the firearms industry, working in shops, the PAL verification's crashing continuously. And then one time I actually got to see what it looked like when it crashed. And I went to the site to go look at the portal, and I mean, that was a classic crash. Somebody hacked it. It was rooted, right? I posted about this, but, RCMP, again, just like another crown corporation, right, in Canada. Anyways, the breach happened. This is how they say the breach happened. It happened through a private contractor called Gilmore, which was handling printing, warehousing, and distribution of the firearms program. The contractor was given a big contract worth millions and had kept getting more federal work after the incident. So the affected owners were notified online, or with online notices between March and June 2021. It was described as a possible ransomware attack on a vendor that worked for multiple federal departments. Trying to pass the buck that that their system got hacked, and they're going to say that it was a vendor. Oh my God. This is the biggest crock of crap I'm reading. Anyways, the firearms group are rightly pointing out the risks. So this is the thing. It's got to get changed. Everything the federal government's put into investment in terms of digital infrastructure, with data information and stuff like that, is always constantly being breached. So there's a level of incompetency on the programmers and network administrators, because it's not just a system administrator. This is a network administrator issue, database administrator issue, or whoever's programming the system. So the way I like to see this is we need to, I would just say, hire our own citizens to do the job instead of hiring it to India and outsourcing it to companies, if that's what you're going to do, right? Anyways. Sneezing in the middle of a recording. Great stuff. Anyways, that's it for the show today, folks. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube and subscribe to our Facebook. Check out our 24/7 live stream, albertaradio.ca. And, thanks, man. It's been big themes tonight. We covered government spending without savings, consequences for shutting down debate, accountability on COVID-era decisions, and basic competence when it comes to protecting Canadians' private data. So what do you think? Drop your comments in our posts and share our episodes with all your friends, and let's keep the conversation going. And thanks for listening to Alberta Radio. We stay informed, stay free, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Good night. Have a great day, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, are you ready? Subscribe to Alberta Radio's YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and X. Do it now. The moment has arrived. We need your support. We need you now. Alberta Radio.
Broadcasting around the world.
You are listening to the Great Alberta Radio Show.